Okay, we're going to go through this little video, and instead of remembering stuff and trying to make another video later, whenever the person in the video says something I know not to be true, I'll tell you it's not true and explain to you why. Here we go.
Here it is, so close to the, Christmas, New Year's. Normally what would be a really festive time for me, obviously, is not so great. Haven't seen my only child since the beginning of, 2007. And, it's kind of funny because I was, scrolling down. It's taking forever to get old pictures and old information off Facebook. And I saw that 3 or 4 years, all I did, or let's say for argument's sake, 3 years, all I did was post pictures of my daughter and my case, and, I was driving myself crazy and probably everyone else, and I was getting criticism from people that, I understand you're upset about your daughter, but you need to, post about other things. And it's just so funny that you can never make people happy. I've learned that, really hardcore. Because, so I end up being targeted, being retaliated against, insanely. And I won, several cases against police officers falsely accusing me of something I didn't do.
Okay, she was not the reason that Officer Truce was brought to trial. She never appeared on the witness stand, and her case was not critical to his conviction. And that's just the way it is. She acts like she went down there in a big roar and took down all these police officers, and that is simply not the case. She left out of here and had to go back on a DWI charge, and she had to take a drug test. That's a fact.
And it was such a slam dunk case. And one case I won representing myself. And, anyway, the irony is that then my fight, and that's the truth. I kept getting robbed. I kept having to move. I had to move into hotels. It was very weird to go from a big, beautiful home with my daughter to almost living like a outlaw or something. I mean, just bouncing around, feeling like I never had a home again. Every time I would get home, I call home, the police would mess with me. And it just got so surreal, and I felt like I was living in the Twilight Zone. So I can't say too much. Oh, okay. I think what are you looking at? Is that what it says? Well, that's a good question. What am I looking at? Ugh. I mean, look, let's kind of laugh about this. Can we kind of just have fun here? I grew up in Hollywood, right? And for those that don't know my story, I had a very glamorous, past. I grew up in Hollywood with a hit songwriter dad, Mr. Mom, because he stayed at home writing music. He wrote B.J. Thomas' first solo hit. My mind just went blank. That's not good. MaMa. Isn't that ironic? Sorry. I'm still pretty sick. I've been sick with this cold thing going around for 5 days now, and it just lingers. Anyway, you don't believe me? Google Mark Sharon, CHARRON, and then put in B.J. Thomas. But he wrote for many other people. I mean, Freddie Fender, Roy Head, Ronnie Millsap, blah, blah, blah. And I had a really interesting life, My mother was something like vice president of the royalty company at A&M Records.
Please note the term "my mother." There will be more on this later.
And let's just say, it was far from boring in Hollywood. Well, then I ended up having a really, after I graduated from UT, and it's funny because I graduated National Dean's List.
There is no Dean's List at the University of Texas, and it's that way they don't rank the students and they can't be accused of being racist.
An American history or American studies major, which I was like, what was I thinking? I mean, I enjoyed it, honestly, but my heart was, what I wanted to do was make up for TV, and I had many opportunities, and I just never went back to Hollywood. So I did kind of like models makeup, worked for a big modeling agency, did some celebrity makeup, even back in my younger days, did wonderful late Barbara Bush's makeup, who was, such a hoot and just so down to earth and so intelligent and funny and just really just very real. And I'll never forget that makeover. Probably out of all the makeovers I did on famous people, she was by far the most let's say, impressive, and, her advice stayed with me forever, and I made good decisions on her wise words. But anyway, I did Kelly McGillis makeup from Top Gun and Spice Spice Girls, but, it was an interesting past, and it's just funny. You're saying, what are you looking at? Well, I'm glad you asked. I'm glad you asked me that. So I went.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a picture I took in Nashville, Tennessee. That man in the middle with the white beard is my producer, Gene Strasser, who produced my early records. And you might recognize the chap in the blue jacket. We met, and he wrote a couple of songs for me to go on one of my albums and everything. He also gave me an idea for the Everybody Talks Like This in Texas song. Let's see what else I've got here. This here is Mark O'Connor, I think. I can't remember his name. But anyway, he was the fiddle player on the Grand Ole Opry. And when I was at his house, we were working with Neil Diamond and everything. I was actually helping in the studio production of the song for him. My question is, Amy, you know all these people, where are your pictures?
And from living the, American dream, having it all, the Porsche, the Lexus, the multiple, 3 gorgeous homes, to, and you could say I'm not like camping, but I'm living in fear again. So out in the boonies, that's all I can say. And, I hate in a way that, how can I put it? Now that we contacted the FBI and all these higher-ups again, and witnesses are sending my evidence and blah, 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 I got mixed emotions about that, as you may know why. But, it's pretty bad when you don't know where to turn to. I know for a fact that the FBI was provided 100 documents or more on solid evidence, and all of a sudden, when someone illegally shuts down all the evidence links on a site that cost me over $6,000.
She is alluding to me here. She won't say my name, which is wise and everything, but I did not steal anything. She did not pay Ramona Millon for the website, and I purchased the website legally, and I took it, and at first I was going to keep it up and try to help her. She went into a rant because we put it up under me and Jackie's title of Weird Works, our production company, and she got mad, started telling me I was going to jail like she's doing now and all this kind of stuff. So I just told Ramona, keep the money, Merry Christmas, take it down.
Oh, shoot. You weren't supposed to see that. Gosh. Johnny just got out of the hospital, for those of you that don't know, and we are laying low at a friend's, but he just got out of hospital, and he had the problem is with his head injury from the swelling of his brain when he had major brain surgery, whatever it was, 1.5 years ago, 2 years ago. The problem, he doesn't remember, but I know it wasn't that long ago. And he had to learn to walk again. He lost his good, job in the oil and gas, you could say, industry. And it's pretty frustrating, because he's had a pretty tough time. And now he has constant radiation. Now he did drive him into, you could say, a temporary state of madness. The funny thing is, someone said, oh, he's in a psych ward. What a lie. I have the papers. There's nothing even saying that he's, the discharge papers, where are they? They're somewhere here. Now, what happened was that he started having severe memory loss, because with a head injury, trauma will make you appear, really different. And so he can't have any alcohol, like none. One beer, you wouldn't believe it. I've seen him drink one beer where he's slurring and looks like he's going to pass out. It's because of the head injury. He can't have any limitation to, the oxygen, whatever, to his head. And so he's always misunderstood as being wasted when we have an agreement that one drink he can't even have. And, I'm down with it because I'm not a drinker and only had a couple of periods out of complete depression of losing my daughter that I even drank some. But half the time, people thought I was drinking. I was faking it just so I could be cool with my friends. And I would get, like a vodka and, oh, God, he doesn't realize. Oh, my God. Vodka and just water with just lime, It's a good way that people will think you're, oh, sorry, not vodka, what am I saying? Water and cranberry, or soda water and cranberry. So when I worked at the modeling agency and the models all wanted to go out after work and we went to all these cool nightclubs and parties, half the time I wasn't even really drinking and everyone knew me as, oh, if Amy drinks, it was typically one drink, but somehow, there's these people that have been stalking me and just creating all kinds of lies. They found a video where I'm with one of my, he was like my gay brother from another mother. And anyway, they find this old video that it was his birthday. I have one glass of wine in my hand and they're like, look, she's an alcoholic.
The one glass of wine in her hand was not the question. Like I said before, I didn't observe her here over drinking or anything like that. The most interesting part of that video was Stephen Steele correcting her that he was not a boyfriend or significant. He was a husband, and she said husband, whatever, which makes the second time out of her own mouth and his own mouth that their common law marriage was confirmed. And in Texas, common law marriage doesn't take a year or two. It takes a flash. Present yourself as man and wife in public. Please continue.
And it's so funny because that video is like 3.5 years old, or maybe, I don't even know, but it's an old video. And I'm thinking, these punks, can you imagine living in a world where people will do anything to destroy your character, defamation of character beyond belief, and, slandering and then photoshopping my pictures and altering my pictures. And okay, so check it out. Last night I was watching this movie. And this beautiful, she was stunningly beautiful. It was one of those Eye on Christmas movies. And the TV kept like freezing up and she would look like horrific. And I was like, Johnny, look how bad she looks. And we started laughing because what this person has done, he's created this Google hate site on me. And he's managed to either slow down my videos deliberately because I can't figure out who was doing it. And then he would screenshot the picture and go, this is how she's presenting herself today. Eyes cross-eyed, closed, all blurry and creepy looking. And he's trying to convince y'all that this is the real Amy Sharon. And also, they Photoshop my weight and then they say that I'm using skinny lenses. Well, let me tell you, Robert, I am not that computer savvy, if you could say, to even know how to do that on a live video. And you're ridiculous. I've done live videos showing my whole body, especially when we were filming people trying to help the homeless downtown Houston. And I've done many pictures where you see me full length, even one as recent as 3 days ago? One with a teddy bear, one when Johnny and I were eating somewhere, I believe, or was it Christmas shopping for my daughter? Sorry, I'm so tired. It doesn't matter. Anyway, the point is, the first time they post a picture of me, they stalked me into a library 6 hours away from my location. They're little evil trolls. They took my picture, which really creeped out the police in the library, because we couldn't see them. They thought they did it from the library camera, but they realized that the camera wasn't able to do that because it really wasn't working too good. So I'm like, gosh, who's following me and taking my pictures? Like, this really sucks, if I can be so blunt. It just sucks. Imagine a world where you don't know who's, you remember that song, I always feel like somebody's watching me and I get no privacy? You probably don't, you're too young, but I feel like I'm living it every minute. And so Johnny and I have really been through, let's just say, the ringer. And he lost his memory. And yes, stress will do that. I once had something called, what do they call it? They said they thought it was very rare. It's called psychosis amnesia. No.
Didn't she say that she's never been in a mental institution one time and didn't have a mental history? Well, let's count this as one.
What is it? Amnesia? Oh, man. My bad. I don't know. I need to get more rest. But it's something where you lose your memory. Someone had to come stay with me, and my ex had to miss work over it. And they said it could be permanent. I was like, oh my God. It was horrible. So stress is not only an obvious killer, but in certain people with certain genetics, it's true that you can actually not have any memory. And I've been suffering for years now with memory loss.
So I guess this would be a continuing mental problem that you just admitted to. That would be a big number 2.
And if you haven't noticed it, most people have. I went from being like, not to brag, but highly articulate, very like I said, National Dean's List. I graduated, literally high GPA. And it's kind of weird because I struggle all the time with, wait, how do you spell that? And I was someone who excelled in English classes and writing. So I was, going down my Facebook and I found old, because it's funny because when I used to only talk about my case, oh, there you go. See, I'm sick. This is why I said Facebook control, regulations, total censorship. I showed Johnny. I mean, my postings were getting 200, 300 comments. It was crazy. I mean, I'd write something and it would 65 comments in like an hour. And and it was weird because I'm like, okay, but I noticed my writing was like really kind of not too good.
3.
And then I would see myself writing really well. Well, I know it's not 2 people, but I realized the more stressed out I was getting, the more, obviously it was harder for me to write, especially because I know I have PTSD symptoms.
4.
Come on, who wouldn't if they hadn't seen their only child who was taken unlawfully at 2 by a wicked, abusive stepmom and stepdad?
Remember in the first video I said, remember the word my mother? Okay, now we have reduced Anita from mother to stepmother. Notice that her memory of the first part of the video is not there when she's on this part of the video. I would count that as 5.
Who had all the political connections, big Republican, ties and money and power. And, people are like, really? You think she was taken like that? I'm like, hello, yes. My stepdad was appointed by our most popular governor, Rick Perry, at the time, and he golfed at one point. At least he had pictures looking like he was golfing with, our once President Bush, and and Congressman Joe Crabb actually married me when I got married to a wonderful Dutchman, and of course, the connections were there, not to mention some other things I've learned about the good old boy ties that he has. But, the thing I learned is that would buy a child, and it bought my only child. And they haven't let her, it doesn't matter if they're family, they have abusively kept us apart since 2007. So I started posting a lot of pictures of her because she sent me a message recently that I finally said, oh, I am done. She started, mentally abusing Johnny with his head injury problems and all the stress he's going through during the holidays, and retaliations as well as I've gone through for, my God, almost 9 years. And, in my opinion, she had some, I'm not going to say we're grown-ups, we can, but still, there's a point that cruelty can put you in a temporary state of just despair, and that's where we both were kind of at one point. We came out of it, thank God.
6.
But, there is, I don't think people realize everyone handles cruelty and abuse differently. I handle it strangely, if I may say, because I think about the things my mom's done.
Mom, stepmom, back to mom. 7.
And I think I'm almost too tough, and it bothers me. I think one of the reasons people weren't like, whoa, poor Amy Sharon, was because I never really, gave details of my horrific, past with my mom and stepdad. And I was always afraid if I did it, they'd never let me see my daughter. So there's a reason why I kind of quit posting pictures of her, because she She had an evil plot that she kept telling me, you're going to see your daughter this Christmas. You're going to see your daughter soon. Just don't post anything about the story. And then when I realized that everything I posted was almost about all the cop retaliations and injustices about, being targeted, and she still was meaner than ever, I was like, I'm done. I'm done. Like, once again, you might see her for Christmas and then just the most cruel text messages. So, calling us idiots and all kinds of, and it's so funny because my real therapist for years, Dr. Deutsch.
Real therapist for years, Dr. Deutsch. 8.
She was the one that CPS would testify. My case was ruled out by a psychiatric judge. They were trying to say I was too crazy to have my daughter, and the document posted on my Facebook. Psychiatric charges were dismissed. The CPS allegations were dismissed, and yet somehow my mom managed to threaten CPS with a lawsuit right in front of me, and the case was given to a new worker and all bogus, like reopened on a dismissed charge. Have you ever heard that? I have not.
CPS will often open new cases. They didn't reopen any case. They had a continuing concern of the safety of the child, seeing all these things I pointed out in Amy's mental attitude.
So now I got a sleeping Asian lady. I'll never forget it. She was Asian, dark, long hair, looked young, and she kept sleeping during the jury trial. Well, first of all, that's grounds for a mistrial. I don't care what anyone says. You have the right to a fair jury trial. But how is it fair if one's sleeping? And the reason she's sleeping is because it was so darn boring, because the people that were lying under oath just kept repeating themselves. And hell, I would have probably fell asleep too, even though it's, it's the wrong thing to do. But it really was a boring trial. I mean, these people were relentless. They were lying like cats and dogs. Well, cats and dogs don't lie, but they were lying like crazy. And the thing I couldn't believe is that here I was with a lawyer who wouldn't do a thing, who reeked of alcohol the whole time. And it didn't matter what I presented to the judge. It was like, my lawyer sucked. He wouldn't pull out. Okay, for example, Your Honor, she didn't graduate from college. She's a delusion, and yet he's holding my high GPA diploma. Okay, well, that's kind of fishy. Or, Your Honor, these arsenic poisoning records on her, and these cadmium poison records on her, and all these things from her past, it's under a delusional name. That's not her name. Well, it was my married name. I'm giving you weird examples, kind of the gist of it. And I'm going, how is this happening? He has my divorce decree. Like, why is he not saying that's my, that was my name for, whatever it was, 8 years? I'm giving you little bits and pieces, if I may, on how they won. Then the real kicker, and then I'm going to let you go, because I got to stop talking about it. I'm always afraid if something happens to me, my daughter will never know the truth. And the way I'm targeted, nothing would surprise me. But I think the most amazing thing that was said under oath was by a CPS worker, there was Jennifer Gosco, who just perjury galore. And then there was Lisa McCartney. This is in Houston. I think the most shocking thing I heard, that I couldn't believe nothing was done about it, and the governor, I contacted their office and they never corrected it, was that Governor Rick Perry had heightened security and feared for his life over me. Well, if you look at my Facebook, I have pictures going as 20 years apart with the governor. He knew my family well. I had been in his house. I had personally been hugged by him. I have pictures of us on stage with the media taking our picture, that after they said this, he's hugging me and saying he's going to correct it, and never did. And you think that wasn't a big deal? I tell you what, if I was on a jury trial and heard a single mother was trying to kill a governor possibly, I think I would terminate her rights too. I hope you heard me right. It was said under oath by, I'm almost 100% sure her name was Lisa McCartney, that there was heightened security by our one and only Governor Rick Perry, who now works under Trump, the oil and gas division of the White House. Not sure how all that works. Don't really care. Not a big fan of Rick Perry. But he says, oh, don't pull out your evidence on stage. And heck yeah, I'm feisty and hopped on stage. You think if I was dangerous, security wouldn't have grabbed me and thrown me on the ground and handcuffed me with a big briefcase that could have had a gun in it? Oh no, Rick Perry invites me on stage and says, oh, don't, say thing, I'm going to do right, Governor. I'm losing my home now. I'm losing everything over injustices. I have a really nice home. I'm losing everything. And not only my only child, I know, dear, something like that. He gets reelected and blows me off. And allowed, as a governor, I hope you're listening to how juicy this story is. As a governor, allowed my daughter to be taken on false claims that I was basically trying to kill the governor. You getting how bad this is? Now, who was good friends with Rick Perry at the time? My stepdad. Who had my daughter? My stepdad. Who was appointed to the medical board by Rick Perry himself? My stepdad. Do I really need to say more? I think y'all are smart enough to know what's going on here. You really think someone gets retaliated against every day in the real world? Try this. Before my daughter was taken, I was 42 years old, never been to jail, never been in trouble with cops. I mean, who knows? Maybe, I think one time it was like I switched my handbag and forgot my wallet on a cab service. And then when I got there, I begged the guy to just take me and let me get my purse. It was just a mistake. I was young. I don't remember the deal, but I didn't go to jail. The judge said, just give him his dang money. And God, how pathetic, sir. He was mad at the cab driver, couldn't speak a word of English, and thought he was going to sue me over it. But not only that, got a gold ring worth $300 and still wanted his $6 cab drive or something. It was ridiculous. So no, I never was in trouble, never went to jail. I mean, not anything worth mentioning. And I had a squeaky clean record, as much as you could say. Suffered Lyme disease for a year that mimicked, anything you could imagine. Even it will mimic depression, bipolar, anxiety.
I'm going to stop the count at this point, because just 3 more times that she admits that she exhibited the symptoms of certain mental illnesses, but she's never been in a mental hospital.
You don't believe me? Google Lyme disease. And I had it, they know, at least 10 years. So now my mother can use Lyme disease symptoms against me when I was cured at the time they took my daughter, and still say, oh, but she had a period, she couldn't sleep, she had this, she had that. It's a joke. They estimated I had Lyme disease from 18 years old till about, my mind went blank, almost 40 or something like that. Almost 40. I don't know. 38 or something. 37. And then the mystery about Lyme disease is, even though you're cured or negative, they say the symptoms can linger on forever because it lays dormant. These little things are one of the most intelligent bacteria from ticks, if you don't know what it is. And they know, and they see the killer coming in your body to, get rid of them. They know how to wiggle into your bones and joints and muscle tissue. I don't really know. Okay, I can't read it. It's too disgusting and upsetting. But apparently when you're really stressed out, they can kind of wiggle their way out and make you sick again. And doctors, because they don't want to scare people, they're saying it's impossible. But there's tons of people with Lyme disease that still have mood swings and memory loss. But nothing that would say it's so severe you can't have a children. Can you imagine if CPS went around and took every child away from a parent that had Lyme disease? Boy, then people would listen, but hey, it kind of happened to me and nobody really listened because I'm just one person. But I wouldn't be surprised if there's not more people out there that have gone through it. But since Lyme disease isn't the most common thing in the world, it's never really going to be a big story, but it's a really tragic story. Because despite how sick I was a real go-getter, and I was doing the best. I made national makeup artist for Christian Dior, worked top modeling agency, teacher for children, teaching modeling, teaching nutrition, teaching runway, teaching makeup, doing makeup for shows, had my own show thing going on where I was doing pet fashions and all kinds of stuff. And I have nothing to prove it because some crazed journalist who's made it out to get me because I called the police on him for stealing over $250,000 worth of my belongings. And
I never heard from any police on this subject.
Everything to prove that I actually used to be really normal and had a really great life, even many travels to Europe. Oh, brother. I don't have any evidence because they made sure they took it all.
So now, let's clarify here. Who took it all? I was just accused of ruining your life by taking it all. And then you said the CPS took it all. Previously, you said your mother took it all. We need to differentiate who took it all.
And that's the reality of how CPS works. We'll rape you, we'll grossly rape you of everything you have. So then you just have to hope people will believe you, because I keep saying I'll take lie detector tests, but they're not admissible in court. So be it, right? Then you're in my shoes. And it really is a horrible place to be. I would hate to be anyone in my shoes. And there's countless in my shoes. And what is he? Oh, jeez. And it's a disgrace on America and worldwide, because it's a worldwide epidemic, silent epidemic, because the media doesn't have the guts to tell the truth, because they know they're going to be targeted and maybe lose everything too. So it's all a big scam. Our politicians are covering it up. Heck, I don't know, Trump, it seems like he is. I haven't seen anything that big that he's taken action. I certainly know he knows that it's a horrible, CPS commits crimes probably every couple of seconds, in America. And why is our president not doing anything? I'd like to know, because I know many of you have written him, and people have written him even about my story. And I believe I did it. I was on his chat thing when he was trying to get elected.
Add narcissism to the list here. See, Rick Perry's after her, Congressman's after her, the Attorney General, she's named him before and everything. Now she was in with Donald Trump, and he too has turned against her.
And they accepted me on his chat. Remember that Facebook chat thing? He blocked me when I questioned him about Rick Perry. Come on, it's funny, but not. Welcome to Facebook regulations and control, and I deal with it every day. I never knew I could be in jail every day, mentally, because I can't seem to do anything on Facebook, and every time I do the most powerful video, it gets edited or vanishes, and I have no privacy, because people can go in even when they're blocked and put my pictures on Google and alter them and change my words, and it's a nightmare. So probably, so I started working on this reality kind of show. It's veterans, helping veterans, get them off the street. And, it was going really well. I'm a production assistant, signed the contract, everything. And I was stalked my first day at work and terrorized. And I got so sick after it, and I haven't been back. And now I'm trying to decide what's the best thing to do. I can either run, which I've never been a runner, and get a cool job somewhere else, or I can say they're not going to run me out. My daughter lives here. I'm going to do the show. But is it safe to do a show when you're out and about? And I was interviewing a homeless veteran when they stalked me and harassed me, two people, Middle Eastern guy who unbuttoned his pants. I guess they were trying to make sure I would do a bad job.
There are no cameras. There's no production people. There is nothing but four people standing out here while saying he is dressed
being
down.
Filmed. A lady, please wait. A lady, Johnny's there. You want to say something?
No, I just want to say that I was doing sound and camera.
Oh yeah, he was doing the sound and the camera, and it was really a cool job for both of us. But we were totally, harassed right there live, and I'm going, really? And the lady's yelling our name and everything, and it was really creepy. So now I have to decide. I don't know. What would y'all do? What would you do? Would you just go on and do a really, pretty interesting job up my alley, helping people? After all, I've helped the homeless truly off and on for 30 years. But I never was paid. So, wow, paying job, that sounds good. As a supposedly investigative reporter, journalist, everything I've done has been for free. And I'm thinking, yeah, okay, God is good. I'll finally get paid for having a caring heart and really, truly wanting the best for people, because I know what it's like to be homeless, and it's the worst thing you can imagine. And let me tell you, if you think you won't go homeless when you fight CPS, think again. If you fight them to the magnitude I did, radio, even television, you're going to get targeted. And I don't care what they say. They'll say we're crazy, but they're crazy. Anyone that can go around and take little helpless, voiceless children and destroy families is not only crazy, but evil. All right. God bless all our stolen children. God bless our world, each and every one of you. And all I can say is, I know this too shall pass, and one way or another, justice will be served in the afterlife. Hopefully, some people will be going to prison here soon with what we're putting together, but not jail, I mean prison. And oh, I have good news about my lawsuit. Oh, how did I forget this? So they're posting that I did a crappy job and that my case is closed. All lies, or dismissed. All lies, my friends. All lies. I got all the proof.
In previous videos that she has posted, she has said that her case was dismissed without prejudice out of her own mouth. And now she's turned around and said it's all lies. It's still active.
You see, I have connections too in high places, and I have all with the judge, whatever, what's filed in the courthouse. I don't know if they can get copies. Probably they can, because they seem to be able to do some pretty cool hacking and whatnot and photoshopping my pictures. But no, the part that let's just say the show must go on, and no, it's not over. I can't even believe what I'm seeing. It's not over at all. Here's what it is. I have to pay a $400 new filing fee. That's it.
A $400 new filing fee for a new case because the other one was dismissed.
That's it. Believe it or not, I don't have it. So if any of you want to try to raise me money so I can take down the bad guys, the good old boys in Texas, truly, I need a raise, honestly, to really get the ball rolling and get people served and all the things I need to do. It's not cheap. There's a reason lawyers usually want a $2,000 retainer, some $5,000. There's a reason. They're not all the bad guys. It's expensive to put a case together. I learned that the hard way. My God, I almost end up homeless again over it. I need to raise some money. The problem is when I tried to do a GoFund, the hacker shut it down. So if anyone has an idea to help me raise money for my lawsuit, and I promise you I'll prove that the money's going just to my lawsuit, I really need to raise, in all honesty, I would say at least $3,500. That would be to get people served, that would be to make copies of all the stolen evidence, and that would be to do the filing fee. That's it. Believe me, there would be no shopping spree after it. I guarantee it. All right. Thank y'all. And, well, I wish I could say Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Well, I guess I won't be a Scrooge and say it, but it certainly isn't that way for many of us. But I'll do the right thing. That's what God would want. I wish light, peace, love, and faith in each and every one of your home, and that justice will prevail.
You can't touch this. You can't touch this.